Hello everyone, this is umonox with my next umoTalk, and today I want to talk about my personal 3 favorites from the Superbooth 2017. Yeah, what an amazing booth! Now, I wasn't there personally. This is some video coverage from the German music magazine Amazona that you can see in the background right now. Great video, by the way, I put a link in the description. Yeah, I wasn't there and I must say I totally regret it. Damn, I saw a lot of videos with all those synths, drum machines, modular walls and whatnot, and I thought, geez, this was the place where I should have been. It's pretty young actually. This year's Superbooth was just the second overall, but it already attracts me much more when music messe. Yeah, it's a shame that I wasn't there, and especially if you consider that I only have around 300 kilometers to Berlin because I live in the middle of Germany. Well, next year. Definitely, next year. Okay, but enough whining. So here are my 3 favorites that I have seen. Yeah, the Novation Peak. Oh yeah. Finally a new synth from Novation. It's about time, man. And this one seems to be huge. No less a person than Chris Huggett himself has created the oscillators for this new beast. And this guy has experience. He already designed the EDP VASP synth from 1978. And later he created the famous Oscar synth in 1983. Which became somewhat popular and was recreated as a plugin called Imposcar from G4 Software. Yeah, so we can expect quite a bit of experience that was thrown into the creation of the Peak's oscillators. They operate at a very high sample rate of 24 MHz, and if you count in most DCOs work at around 48 kHz only. Yeah, and we have 3 of those oscillators, from what I heard, but not really understood actually. They are built from the ground up with some custom chips and a custom design to them, not using a classic DSP to produce the actual sound. And they also use something they call bitstream technology to make them completely aliasing free. But to be honest, for me personally, the best part is they finally come with wavetables. 17 wavetables in total, to be more precise. Great. I mean, we are more or less saturated with analog saw, triangle, square, monosynth these days. And there are a few analog polys with basically the same waveforms as well. So having a new 8-voice polysynth with flexible TCOs that offers wavetables as well, yeah, this makes sense, and it's about time, I think. Especially because it has 3 oscillators, and those are 3 fully featured oscillators, so you basically have the same settings, the same full feature set for all of them. Now, along with all those modulation features, I can only imagine what kind of sounds we could carve out of this thing, if we have the time to do so. And the amp, as well as the multimode filter, plus the 3 distortion points, which are inside this box, they are still analog, so yeah. This in combination with those interesting oscillators makes me really want to get my hands on it and try it out. I can highly recommend to check out the different demos of this thing, because there are plenty of those available on the net already. Also some technical previews if you want to know more about the oscillators in detail. But sadly they missed to make this thing multi-timbral. I mean, come on, 8 voices of polyphony, wouldn't that be cool to have keyboard splits with different sounds and stuff like that? Or several tracks to sequence it externally on different MIDI channels to get more sounds into a jam? Yeah, but well, we cannot have everything, can we? Anyway, funny thing by the way, in regard to the previews, in their preview of the Peak, Nick Bad from Sonic State finally admitted to himself what we know about him for years already.
And of course, I seem not to have become the PWM guy, PWM guy.
Yeah, Nick, honor this title, you really deserve it. Okay, so what are your opinions about the Peak? Are you amazed too? Or do you not really care about it at all? Let me know in the comments. Next up, we have the umoWave Quadrant Swarm. Hard to spell for a German guy like me. Now this is a really interesting new thing from umoWave. It's a single oscillator synth that offers a triangle wave only. But it can be duplicated up to 8 times so that it gets polyphonic. Don't know how this works, but the oscillator itself is digital, but the amp and the filters are analog. And it is basically semi-modular. You have a lot of patch points to connect different stuff with each other and come up with some new sounds that way. I mean, its sequencer is also quite interesting as it offers different modes to play this thing. So classic step sequencing of notes, for example. With some tiny little knobs to tweak the pitch of the individual notes. And also a mode where you can play some sort of chords with it. And it can also be used to trigger modulations, sweeping over it to create interesting movement and stuff like that. Now we mentioned that this is all not final yet and we are still working on different things to be put in there. Now hopefully we increase the step amount because seriously 8 steps are not really much at all. But well, on the other side this box is quite small, so okay, well. Now it also has a spring reverb built into it. It seems to be a cool new tool to create some drone-ish ambient textures or just fiddling around with it, creating sounds never heard before. I like the idea of patching stuff together, but still having it in a standalone box fully controllable via MIDI, without the need for a proper modular system around it. Now hopefully this becomes a really good thing for the price I mentioned. So around 500 euro they said, but I have hopes for it. It's still a prototype though, so there will be more info in the future, that's for sure. But I can already imagine to sit there, fire up this thing, doing wild patching, you know, cables somewhere, without knowing what I'm actually doing. Yeah, and have it hooked up to the Octatrack or Digitakt maybe, to sample bits and pieces from it. Reassembling them and make something out of it. Something like some weird pads or nasty leads or something like that, I don't know. But I think it has potential and I definitely want to check it out when it's available. So what's your opinion about the Quadrant Swarm? Have you even took notice about it? Or is it the first time you hear from it? Let me know in the comments. Another big thing at Superbooth, obviously, was the reveal of the Digitakt from Electron, but I made a video about this thing already. Link should come up in the top right corner now. And as I already pre-ordered it, I won't count it into this video. Because it wasn't Superbooth itself which convinced me to get this thing. But the demos were cool anyway, and Cenk, aka Mr. Dataline himself, gave us yet another cool idea what we can do with the Digitakt.
Let's go to the clap track and let's lay a clap on this. Let's lay crap on this. Crap on this. Crap on this. Oh dear.
Yeah, one could really think about that. Okay, just kidding. Yeah, and finally the Jomox Alpha Bass. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Now those of you who already know my natural addiction to drums, yeah, you won't find it surprising that I was really attracted by this one. Finally something new from Mr. Jürgen Michaelis again. And this thing looks dope to me, really. I mean, just listen to it. This section I've just put in here comes from a video the YouTube channel Bedroom Producers Blog have uploaded. And it has Jürgen jamming some really neat tunes inside. You can see how addicted he is to his own stuff. Techno in a box, man. Great video. I really like what I heard here. I put a link into the description. Yeah, and the specs also look great. It has 11 voices, 2 analog machines, bass drum and this membrane voice, several sample-based machines, including machines that allow you to sample the input, and a 4-operator FM synth with up to 6 voices of polyphony too. Yeah, that's tailored toward drum sounds though, but anyway, that's wow, just wow. I don't know how they achieved this with just 11 voices, because if we have a closer look, we can see kick, membrane voice, now the hi-hat sample section, here are the claps, the rim shot, crash and ride, now those X sample slots, now I assume those are the ones you can sample on, and here's that synth. Now if we count this all together, you effectively get 16 voices, which are necessary to play them all at the same time. But maybe I misunderstood this and Jürgen just meant it has 11 instruments, not just 11 voices. I apologize for that if this is the case. Yeah, anyway, the sample-based instruments you cannot sample to are also a bit special, as they have analog components to them. A special hi-hat filter on those tracks here, for example, and a resonating multimode filter on those tracks. All also have an analog VCA they are running through. And the alpha bass also has a reverb. Now, can it resample itself? I would really like to know. Oh, and it can also load your own samples via an SD card. It also seems to have some kind of parameter locks in the sequencer. Although Jürgen said that it is only possible to change 1 parameter per step and per track. But he also mentioned it will have some kind of live recording of parameter changes as well. It's just not yet implemented. Now, I asked myself what one might have to do with the other, you know, but I must admit that I'm not familiar with the umonox sequencer, as I never owned any of the big machines from them. Now, the only thing I had from umonox was an membrane back at the time, but I wasn't really comfortable with its metallic sound, I must admit. However, here on the alpha bass, that very same membrane sound seems to fit very well into the rest of the tracks. Yeah, man, I really want to get my hands on this thing. The sequencer seems to have 4 bars, 64 steps. That's cool and really a necessity in my opinion. Now making step sequencers with less steps these days is just... yeah, I don't want to speak about that. Yeah, and it has a great feature to it as well. If you work with pattern chains, the chain configuration is stored per pattern. Now this effectively means that you can have completely different pattern chains when you load a new pattern. And this is amazing for a live performance now. I could program a melody into several patterns, like 4 patterns for example, and start the chain by loading the first pattern where this chain configuration is stored to. Now to switch the melodies, I now simply load the next pattern and have a new set of patterns in that chain that have different melodies programmed in. Cool! And you might even be able to use this to pre-program complete tracks and something like that. Really, I must try this thing out, damn. Yeah, and I must admit that this is indeed the machine I'm most interested in. Its price is steep, definitely around 1,700 euro as it seems. I definitely don't have that much money. But I will absolutely try it out once it's out at my local music dealer, and if I'm totally convinced in it, I might even think about selling my analog rhythm to have the money I need for this machine. Yeah. Because sadly I would have to, unfortunately. Several weeks ago some bad things happened for me. I've lost my job. They threw me out just before my probation ended. For no reason, yeah. Now I don't have any money to buy any new gear anymore. That's really sad, especially because there was so much great stuff that was shown at the Superbooth. But that's another story, actually. Okay, now it's your turn again. What do you say about the alpha bass? Do you think it's the next drum machine you definitely need? Or do you say, no, that's too expensive for me? Let me know in the comments. So yeah, those were my personal 3 favorites from the Superbooth this year. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If so, don't forget to leave that like. And tell me, what were your favorites you found at Superbooth? Or in the various videos that are all over the place? I'm keen on hearing from you. Maybe you found something crazy or something totally weird. Or really expensive. I think there was so much going on at this exhibition that being there must have been a total pleasure, really. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching and I see you the next time. Bye!